Imagine the government suddenly decided to deport a large swath of the population in one fell swoop. There would be an uproar, right? Well, that's exactly what the US government attempted to do in the 1930s, when almost 2 million Mexicans and Mexican Americans were systematically ejected from the country. With the stock market crash of 1929, the United States was thrust into the Great Depression. A 10-year period of economic hardship and national uncertainty. Unemployment, hunger, and desperation were rampant. Some angry Americans saw people of Mexican descent as a threat and called for them to be kicked out of the country. The repatriation drives, as they came to be known, initially began in 1929, when the Los Angeles Welfare Department gave the go-ahead for Mexican-American hospital patients to be driven across the border. Despite suffering from conditions including leprosy and paralysis, many were left to fend for themselves. In President Herbert Hoover's administration, the removal of undocumented immigrants from the workforce and the restriction of legal immigration soon became important. Many major employers laid off people of Mexican descent to free up jobs for white workers. Local officials knocked on doors in Mexican communities, handed out train tickets to Mexico, and told them to leave. New York, Ohio, Michigan, Colorado, Texas, and in particular California began carrying out raids, making no distinction between longtime residents, American citizens of Mexican descent, and undocumented immigrants. The repatriation drives continued under President Franklin D. Roosevelt. Within 10 years, it's estimated that around 1.8 million people of Mexican descent were deported from the United States. Around 60% were native-born American citizens who had lived and worked in the U.S. all their lives. However, the deportations finally came to an end when the United States needed more people to enlist in World War II or work in jobs left behind by soldiers. But for decades, the stories of those affected were often forgotten or remained hidden within Mexican-American communities. In 2006, California officially apologized for the damage and trauma.
Something I will never understand is, how is it that the government loves to do this? So, you mean to tell me that what's happening right now has already happened before? Well, the answer is yes. And what makes things really disturbing is that here you have the United States government saying to other countries how other countries are terrorists. And the United States government loves to use the term terrorist towards other groups of people. But they can never see the things that they've done to humanity. That's the fucking irony of this country, man. And then what makes things, again, worse is that there is a bunch of people who believe the exactly same way. So you mean to tell me that if, after World War II, if Mexicans would have not been able to come back in here, right, because the government allowed them to enter because the economy was collapsing, if Mexicans would have never entered this country would have been like Europe again. Because, see, this is what people don't understand, that the Europeans fled their continent because their own place was a shithole. It was poverty, it was disgusting, it was full of waste, human waste, and they had no civilization. Now that they're here, they have built a civilization, but with the help of other people that's helped a lot in this country. And to make things worse, when is it when people are going to wake up and say, enough, we're tired of being used and thrown to the side whenever our services are not needed here? And then to make things worse, the people who they love targeting and kicking out are the people who are indigenous to the Western Hemisphere. Talking about the hypocrisy of these people is beyond ridiculous. But what is it that people continue to obey the laws? When are people going to wake up and see that the laws that they write are just there to benefit them? Any of the laws that they write towards humanity are not there to benefit you. They're only there to crush you and destroy you, okay? None of the laws that these people enforce are something that we could say like they're an example of leadership. Nothing has ever been that in this country. Everything in this country has been ruled over supremacy, racism, hate, and wealth, okay? And at the end of the day, it's really fucking annoying hearing a country talk about civil rights and freedom and paint this picture of themselves like they are the key of humanity, when in reality we know that they are the biggest hypocrites of the world, okay? You mean to tell me that this is the second time or the third time that you guys kicked out Mexicans, and then to top it off, the way you guys treat people and the way you dehumanize and label people, and you white people have no shame? Man, it's fucking, if I was a white person, I would be really fucking ashamed of myself and embarrassed, and I would feel so ashamed of calling anybody an illegal. Especially literally after knowing that you came off the damn Mayweather ship or Flower ship. But at the end of the day, that's the problem with these individuals, that they have no shame or embarrassment of the wrong deeds they've done to humanity. And to this day, they still continue doing the same that they've done in the past. Nothing changes with these individuals. And at the end of the day, when are people going to wake up and look at the situation and say, the laws that these people write are not here to benefit you. They never have, they never will. The laws that they write are not equal or humane. The laws that they write are just for their agenda and their racism. The laws that they say to follow, they themselves, they don't follow them. When the fuck are people going to wake up and say enough is enough with these demonic people? Time will tell.